When we need to prepare for a competitive event, our go-to company is the Army Painter.
Thanks to their complete range of paints, spray cans, and gaming tools, we're able to complete our new armies and units in no time.
When we need to elevate the quality of our models and terrain, the Army Painter is always our first choice.
You may not know this, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive events than any other hobby company.
Tournament and wargaming is in their DNA.
Visit thearmypainter.com to learn more about their amazing products.
And use promo code AOW Paints for a 5% discount from your Army Painter purchases.
What are you waiting for? Discover the best way to prepare your models for events with the Army Painter today. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Art of War stream. We're excited to be here because it is Fix My List Tau. Tau is an army that, got a lot of changes recently with their MFM and some negativity in the community. However, I still believe in this faction. I think it is one of the strongest in the game, and I think we're starting to see that win rate come up. It is not the easiest army to play, so we're going to go through, break down 3 different Tau archetypes in this video and see what we can do to improve them. And overall, I'm just super excited about Tau in general. I know Jack believes in them as well.
I think they're super good. I think that an archetype that has always been good in 40k is Fast Gun. Fast Gun is very good. And, sometimes it requires a little bit of play on the table in order to, get the best out of the fast part of the gun. But... because slow gun, very easy to play, very not great.
Yes, slow gun ain't good.
Slow gun, very beatable. Fast gun, that harder.
Fast gun makes your opponents think, and that's exactly what I want to do. So we're going to break down 3 different archetypes, as I mentioned in this one. This is a weekly feature, so if you are not a Tau player, come on, still hang out with us. There's going to be some, interesting things going on. I will go ahead and increase my volume on that. No problem there.
That's good. That's good.
But there'll be, Chaos. There'll be Imperium. We basically go through all the super factions. Sometimes we do Codex-related ones. We haven't done a Tau Fix My List in just a little bit, but I think... it's long overdue.
Tau is very popular for some reason, so we want to... I don't know why I say that. I've played them,
You played the Tau?
That's right. I used to... I dabbled. So, yeah, I get it. I mean, they're fun. They got mech suits. They're very Neon Genesis Evangelion. Something, I don't know. I've never watched it, but it's cool. And that's the important part. Big mech suits.
Big mech suits go bang! So we're going to break down this list like I mentioned. If you do want to submit your list for Fix My List, go ahead and check out the War Room, thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial. Once you're in our community, you will get access to the War Room channels, and in there is a Fix My List submission channel where you can submit your list every single week for comments and feedback.
All right. So this is the show where we review 3 member-submitted lists. And what does it take to be a member, Richard?
So in order to become a member, all you have to do is head over to either our own platform, thewarroom.vhx.tv, where there's that 3-day free trial. Sign up, you'll get access to the War Room channels, or you can go ahead and sign up on YouTube. Bronze tier or higher will get you access to our Discord community, and that is where the channel is.
All right.
If you want more than that, though, Jack, I've been playing a lot of Tau on stream, and I just releasing today is my DreamHack recap on the Mont'ka list that I played.
Boy.
So I played a very tank-heavy Mont'ka list at DreamHack, and it did really well. So I've releasing a full tournament breakdown, my list ideas, how it performed, all the different games. So if you want to check that out, once again, head over to the Worm.
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Well done to you. You were on my team.
That's right. Well done, both of us. There was a DreamHack exhibition, kind of an invitational exhibition, because 40k is going to be taking a significantly more expanded role at DreamHack in the future.
Yep, very excited for that.
Super excited for that. We finished up our last round, and we got to go watch the semifinals and finals of Cyril absolutely dumpstering Maru, which was sick.
Ludicrous. StarCraft, great game still.
Great game. All right, so let's dive into list number 1.
Before we do that, one more thing is if you are hanging out here with us, please do like the channel, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below letting us know what you think of the list, how you're feeling about Tau, how you're feeling about the meta. We read all the comments. We love seeing your opinions. And, also tell your friends about us. That really helps us grow the channel.
It makes me feel good about myself, too. So if you want to help me with that, that would be sick.
If you want Jack to have just smiley faces in his brain, do it.
Whenever I go home for Thanksgiving, I want to be able to tell my parents the number goes up.
Number goes up.
Number went up. It went up. That's the number.
People happy.
All right. So, first list is going to be Murphy's Cion. Actually, by that I mean Drew Skywalker's Retaliation Cadre. Don't worry, we'll get to you, Murphy. All right, so the first list is Retaliation Cadre. What is in this list, Richard?
So, we have Retaliation Cadre. This is the Battlesuit Detachment. Their rule is Bonded Heroes. So, all the Battlesuit only, doesn't affect any of the other units. So, you have to be a Battlesuit. And if you're within 12, you get +1 Strength. If you're within 6, you get +1 AP. So, all of a sudden, there's some interesting breakpoints where some of the Strength 5 goes to Strength 6, Strength 7 to Strength 8, Strength 9 to Strength 10. There's some interesting breakpoints on a lot of guns. And then there's a lot of Strength 8 going to Strength 9, which isn't as relevant in the meta. So, there's some of the guns, especially the Crisis Suit guns, benefit a lot more than, say, the Riptide or Ghost Kill guns, is what I've found.
Are the Sunforge guns, are they Strength 9 base?
The Fusion is Strength 9 base, so it goes to Strength 10, which is probably the single most important breakpoint.
Yeah, that's a huge breakpoint. Big breakpoint there, because it takes you wounding most vehicles from 4s, which is just not usually good enough, to 3s. And Toughness 10 now lets you wound on 4s, and you have 4 rerolls to wound, I believe?
You do have full rerolls to wound against monsters and vehicles.
Absolutely.
So we have one of those units in here. We've got 2 Cold Star Commanders, one with Starflare Ignition to go back into reserves. Auto Take, one of the best enhancements that Tau has access to. Then the Prototype Weapon System lets you pick Sustained or Lethal on your commander, which is not a bad upgrade on that. Then you have 3 Riptides here, all with Ion Accelerator, Twin Fusion, Double Missile Drone. Very classic. It's probably the best Battlesuit unit, so no surprise to see 3 of them here.
Yes.
10 Crew Carnivores to Sticky Objectives, 3 units of Stealth Suits. They benefit from the rule, but really they're here to help observe and give you the reroll, 1s to hit, 1s to wound. 3 Ghost Kills. They are also Battlesuits and benefit from the Detachment rule. 3 Solo Piranhas. They can do Battle Shock shenanigans. They're just a cheap MSU Skirmisher. 1 unit of Sunforge, which is going to get a commander, and then a unit of Starsight Battlesuits with Flamers that is going to get a different commander.
Absolutely.
And both of those, so those are the Crisis Suits here. Sunforge have the native invuln, Starsight do not, but they have fallback and shoot.
All right. So we got a couple of super chats here before we read off what Drew Skywalker has to say. First up, we got Red Rum with a €5 super chat. Says, Siegs teaches you how to make 4 out of 4 charges in your Tau army because you need that too.
You got to be charging with Tau. I was charging all tournament.
That's right.
I literally charged all sorts of stuff into my opponent just to tie them up, slow them down, and move block them.
What, are you going to turn down a bunch of free movement just because your opponent might hit you a little?
And the amount of times I charge Riptides in to just contest objectives away, all the time, every game.
Yeah, like you're not going to charge a Riptide into 6 Exalted 8-bound, but like you'll charge him into
the Battle Wagon that's on the objective.
A Battle Wagon on an objective, 100%. All right, Ryan G, $5 super chat says, Tyranids in shambles after the news about OC0 unable to do actions.
That is very funny. I haven't read the article yet, but I will. After this video, we're going to take a little break, and then I'm going to come back and do a video on it. Obviously, people are very excited about new missions. We're going to be excited about it, so I'm going to give my opinion on those after. But I think that's a great change, honestly. Especially Spore Mines were just dumb. Sorry, Tyranid players.
Tyranids didn't need it taken away from them from a power level, but from a game functioning as the designers intended level. It absolutely needed to change. Hopefully in the future they'll get some a buff to compensate for that. I still think they're really good.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think, once again, it is very similar to some of the Tau guns here. Tyranids need a consistent anti-vehicle, anti-monster killer. Make the Exocrine strength 10, strength 12, whatever you want.
Do not make John's Exocrine strength 12.
No, it goes up a lot in points, but give them some tool that they don't struggle to kill vehicles. Same thing with AdMech. It's just very simple. But we'll see.
I do think that makes the Biovore a lot worse, and you know what? Screw that guy.
It does make Crew Carnivores worse, but they can gain OC.
It's true. It's true. And I want to acknowledge somebody saying, nice shirt, nice t-shirt, Jack. This is War Games Live. If you throw a subscribe over to us, if you throw a like on our video, please go ahead and do the same to Joe over at War Games Live, because he is the best.
Every week he is streaming different 40K tournaments, so if you want to see 40K how it's played out in the wild, go ahead and check out Joe's stream, because it is amazing, and he's also one of the best people in this community.
Absolutely.
And deserves your support.
I give him a hug every event I go to, even if he's not there.
He called me the Tony Romo of Sportscast.
Well, I don't know what that means.
He said that I just know what's going to happen before it happens.
That's nice. All right. So, Drew Skywalker has some comments and try to figure out which one of the two of us picked lists for this for this Fix My List. So Drew Skywalker says, "The jackest of harps, the bloodiest of angels, I beseech thee to fix my list. As the name implies, I want to see how Triptide and Tripkeel do in Retaliation Cadre. Starfire Commander goes with Sunforge unit. Prototype Commander likely goes solo most of the time. Man, I wish Cadre made stealth suits into battle line. Thanks."
That would have been sick.
That would have been kind of dumb, to be honest with you. They're really good for 60 points.
Yeah, they're good, but they're nowhere near as good as Tetras.
No.
Unfortunately. So I think they're reasonable for that. But it would help this detachment because it doesn't have many options. There's not that many battle suits, as you can see.
Yeah. No, you're kind of including all of them here, I think.
No, but not the missile crisis suits. Fire knife.
The what are they? Hazard suits? Those aren't real anymore?
No, they disappeared last summer. Yeah, unfortunate. They are sick models. So, all right, Retaliation Cadre. This is a detachment that only buffs your battle suits, so it doesn't really buff breachers, which are one of the best data sheets in Tau. And what I found is that their biggest problem is controlling objectives. Like, you can sticky your near objectives, you can put a lot of pressure on your opponent, but their weakness is going after your opponent's objectives. You basically have to kill them off of it. It's not that easy on dense terrain. And then second, you also can struggle against armies where the breakpoints on these, +1 strength, +1 AP don't really matter. So invuln heavy armies and also horde-based armies, this archetype can struggle into. It's pretty good into elite armies like Space Marines and such, but it's not that amazing into hordes like maybe a Green Tide.
Okay.
Because you don't have breachers here. You don't have the single best tool to kill breachers.
Even if you take hordes. Like Riptides with burst, you're just giving up value there. You're not like compensating for anything. Now stealth suits, if you take a lot of burst cannons, honestly the way I would try and compensate for it is by taking more Star Scythes. Star Scythes are legitimately good at that role. Am I correct at that?
They are okay at it. So their breakpoint goes from strength 5 to strength 6, which means you wound the boys on 3s, and if you have the stealth suits, you then reroll wounds of 1. So you do a pretty decent amount there. The only downside to that is it is a very expensive package compared to breachers.
It is
you really want the commander as well. It's the commander that puts the unit over the edge in terms of being able to do damage. Because you take a cold star with a high output and then 3 burst cannons, that alone shoots basically as hard as the unit.
Yes, for sure. Because that's how many shots is that? That's 26 shots.
Yeah, so
it'll hit on 2s. You can prototype weapon system.
Each suit is going to shoot 8 shots because it'll have 2 burst cannons. So that's 24 from the unit, and then he'll get 8. He'll get. Yep.
That's a lot of volume, and it all gets +1 AP if it's within 6 inches.
Within 6 inches.
And +1 strength if it's within 12. And they start at strength 5, so they go to strength 6. Right? Okay, that is a lot. That is a lot of shots.
Yep.
And for everyone in chat, I did not transcribe Drew Skywalker's name of the list. It's I like big bots and I cannot lie.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Star Scythe, you get the +1 AP against non-monsters vehicles. So you get +1 AP there. Then you can get a second AP if you really needed it.
And you can ignore his cover with a decent number. Well, mostly stealth suits, to be honest with you. But you have 3 of those. So if stealth suits can see you, you shoot them with the Star Scythes. With burst cannons, you shoot them with a Cold Star. They're going to be taking quite a few AP2 ignores cover saves.
You already see where I'm going. Like, this list has a lot of fundamental weaknesses right now, so we have to shore those up. So first one is the Flamers. I've tried the Flamers. They're terrible. It's not consistent.
It's just not enough shots.
6d6 is not the number you need.
It's not 6 Flamers. It goes to 6
burst cannons.
Burst cannons. You also get range, which is nice. You lose out on Overwatch, but if you're 18 inches away and shoot, you're not getting hit back, and then you can close in and shoot. I'm not against
this
the
detachment
unit
has
with Flamers.
4-star gambit as well, so you can get away from your opponent if you really need to.
So you get inside 6, shoot, and then back out.
Yep.
Yeah. I do like the idea of having a Flamer unit to Overwatch, but those guns are kind of inefficient.
Yeah, I tried them against you specifically, and you were like, okay, yeah.
What were you playing into in that one?
Bully Boys.
Bully Boys.
To be fair, it was not the best matchup for them, but I had Farsight in there and the extra AP, and it still was not that great.
Yeah.
It's the problem is the inconsistent number of shots. Now, the Flamers, in theory, are one of the better 3.1 away units because you don't need marker lights on it because it ignores cover ready, and you don't need to get +1 ballistic skill. but it's so low volume and it's an expensive unit for what you get. I think the burst cannons are just straight up better.
It's an average of 21 hits. I mean, if you include 3 flamers on your commander, which is a questionable decision, but if you do that, it is. I mean, what's the average? It's 20. It's only like 30 something, 31.5. It's strength 4, AP 2, damage 1, ignores cover. It's not atrocious into the targets it wants to hit, but it is awful into anything else. Whereas the burst cannon ones can it's strength 5 because you're close, but like the burst cannons can at least punch up into things because they go to strength 6, and that is actually a decent like strength 6, AP 2, ignores cover is the point where like. Even Custodies are taking relevant amount of... Like, I think you burn through Custodies units with that, too, which is nice.
I think so.
But you know what is very important? Nurgle Matthew gifting 2 separate Art of War memberships. We love you. He's taken over the role of the membership Vindicator.
He's my favorite Matt in the world. I mean, that's easy.
Yeah, it's not even close. Like
Number 1 Matt in the entire world, right there. Nurgle Matt.
The Matt Championships. It's so easy. It's
easy for him.
Yeah, it's easy for him. He makes it look easy. And then we got Tim G, member for 22 months at the War Room Gold, says, what would you rather see changed in a Tau FAQ? Return of the 6-man crisis or removal of the split fire penalty?
That's a really easy decision. Thanks so much for being such a long-time member, Tim. It is the removal of the split fire penalty. I think should just not exist because a lot of the units in the Tau arsenal have a lot of different weapon profiles and want to naturally split. And to create a rule that goes against the actual data sheets is just silly in my opinion. I don't think 6-man crisis should come back personally. I think that kind of pigeonholed the army into very specific playstyle, which wasn't really amazingly fun. I think the new book is a lot more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It plays 10th edition now as they want it to be, which is more MSU, more units on the table, more things doing different actions across the board.
I think the design of the crisis suits is actually super cool.
Yeah, I think these crisis suits are legitimately better. The problem is they're a little too expensive right now. I think they can keep coming down in points, and we'll get to a spot where they actually are worth it.
Sweet.
I think they're a little overcosted right now, but not by like a dramatic amount.
All right. Are we looking to have somebody lead these star sides?
Yes. So, see this prototype guy?
Yes.
Change him to high output burst and 3 burst cannons.
Do you want a cyclic ion there? Because it's 1 less shot.
Yeah, you can put the cyclic on there.
Yeah. So, the cyclic is 1 less shot, but is
better AP,
better damage. Like I think having
better strength.
Yeah, so
better everything.
2.
There's a reason they took away cyclic spam.
Yes.
It's better than every gun. So this guy's going to pick Sustained on all his volume, and he's going to go in here and murder stuff.
Yeah, people going to die.
We just got our murder train. All right, so then the other guy, he doesn't need a high output burst now. He's going to go to triple fusion.
Okay. And he's going to take Starflare to put his unit back into reserves.
Yep.
When do you do that?
End of your opponent's turn.
End of your opponent's turn. So you go in, you shoot, you
torch
hop
back.
back.
Yep.
And then end of your opponent's turn, you come up, come down, shoot, bounce. It's pretty good.
Exactly.
It's pretty good.
All right, so let's look at the rest of this. Piranhas, they are good skirmishers, but they don't have the marker-like keyword, and they also give up extra bring it down points in a list that gives up a lot of bring it down points. I don't really like them as skirmishers in Retaliation Cadre, so I think we cut those.
Okay. All right. That gives us a fair few points to work with.
Yep.
So are there battle suits that we are not taking? Is it just more crisis suits?
We could take more crisis suits, absolutely. We probably will take another Sunforge unit. I still like them a lot compared to some of the other stuff. And then the Ghost Keel is the other thing here.
Okay.
I despise Ghost Keels. I think that they are good against bad players and terrible against good players.
How do you feel about having one just in case you need to hold an objective in the open?
I'm going to grab Shadow Sun instead.
All right. Shadow Sun is a lone op, right?
Shadow Sun is a lone op. She's not as durable, but...
are we talking all 3?
Yeah, I don't think they're worth 160 points, personally.
Okay.
I literally played the mirror matchup and dominated the Ghost Keels. I will die on that hill. I have played Ghost Keels many times. They work against people who are afraid of Tau, and they just sit there on the objectives. Your opponent plays scared, and then you just score points. As soon as people know what a Ghost Keel does, which is literally nothing, they do nothing.
They don't contribute if your opponent attempts to attack into you, which is what good players will do.
Exactly. They will understand the weakness of it, and it's not that good.
Okay, so we have gotten rid of all the Ghost Keels. Yes, we've freed up quite a few points.
So I've found with this army is you need to do a lot of damage. relatively early. By turn 3, you need to have killed most of your opponent's key resources so that the points rack up in the late game for you, is what I found. So we need damage dealers.
We have 550 points left to put
All
damage
right,
in.
add the 3rd Cold Star and a 2nd Sunforge unit.
I assume it's going to be a Cold Star in the Triple Fusion Cyclic Ion camp.
Yep. And then leave it at 130 because you're going to put internal grenade racks on there.
And that's the one that gives him grenades. And what else does it give him?
Fly over mortals.
Well, Fly over mortals is great, especially just having a good source of mortals.
Mm-hmm.
So Star Flare Ignition on one and grenade racks on the other.
Yep.
Okay.
So that'll be a 2nd unit of Sunforge.
Alrighty. That is a fair amount of damage.
The Sunforge have
right
been...
there.
I played Retaliation multiple times on stream. The Sunforge are always a lot more durable than people expect. Like Jack charges Meganob unit into it, and I was like, oh, I still have 2 Sunforge and a commander. And he was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. If you hand Richard a 4-up invuln, he'll do brutal things with it. I don't know what to tell you. So we've got another commander in Cold Star.
Did you add Shadow Sun in there?
I did.
Yeah, so she's battlesuit, so she benefits from the rule as well.
And she's also just generally pretty good.
Yeah, it makes her fusion strength 11, I believe.
That
She is.
I cannot see because I do not have the codex.
Yeah, it's right here.
Here, give me that.
All right, how many points we have left? You said
250.
250. Okay, so
It does in fact make them strength 11, which is also a really good breakpoint.
yep, it really is.
And she can fall back and shoot, which is great.
She gives us reroll 1, so if stealth suits end up dying over the course of the game. So with 250, we've got some interesting choices. We got our anti-horde unit. We've got very good anti-elite / anti-tank. We need stuff to screen, to play the mission, and I think Pathfinders do the role really well because they can guide for 2 different units.
How many Pathfinders are we looking to include?
I think we want 2 units of them.
Okay, I'm just going to steal this. Oh, wrong one.
You still want Sunforge.
There we go.
So
We
Pathfinder
got
team's just
Pathfinders.
fantastic. Really good screen. I like them a bit more than the running more recruit in this detachment. They're going to have the recon drone. We could have one of them run the grav drone instead. So if you want to switch one to have a grav drone, that's totally fine. But they'll basically be around that loadout. And these guys observe twice, so it means that we can make sure one of the problems I found with Retaliation Cadre is once you pass the first 3 things that have the stealth suit buff, everything else was very inefficient. Whereas now, we're just like, okay, the stuff that doesn't really need ignores cover from Marker Light, we could, well, I guess we have Marker Light from Pathfinder, but we basically have Marker Lights covered, and we can observe 2 different things.
So the stuff that has Shadow Sun buff gets the Pathfinder guide.
Exactly.
And the stuff that doesn't gets the Cell Suit guide, and then you
Precisely.
shoot them in
Exactly.
their face.
And you're going to be pretty darn efficient with this overall. Pathfinders can screen out really well because they're 10 bodies, and they're also relatively fast with that scout move. So I like them being that early layer of pressure, and they're pretty good at contesting objectives away if you really need that.
And they also have 3 Cyclic Ion, which is not nothing.
Yeah, and it's not nothing. They're not really getting guided, so it's not going to be efficient, but it
still
could chip
just
something down.
9 shots that are just at an uncomfortable level of damage.
How many more points?
We have 70 points left.
70 points.
70 points, which is so almost cut a Pathfinder team and get a Sunforge unit, but
They really need the commander to be efficient, and we've already used the other commander slot. We could get an enforcer, but so let's see, 70. If we had 5 more points, it would be easy. Recruit carnivore unit. What we could do is we could drop internal grenade racks and have 90 points and just have a 3rd Pathfinder team.
we could do that. Is that what you're feeling?
I'm leaning towards I want like another set of bodies.
Do you feel like this list has too much like skirmish and not enough hey you're dead?
No, I think this is plenty.
Okay.
Because the hay, because you start adding some of the other battle suits and you're like, what? This isn't even real damage. What is this?
Yeah, but like you could add more like Crisis with Sunforge.
We
I
could
think.
add a third one, but the problem is we need a commander for it. So we would need to open up 250, like a significant amount of points. We would cut a Riptide if we want the extra. If we want the 3rd Sunforge unit plus commander, we have to cut
I don't
a
want it
Riptide.
that much. I'll tell you that much for free. Okay.
We could
so,
cut Shadow Sun for it.
I like Shadow Sun. I think she's pretty good. I also like the idea of having something to stand in the open on an objective because your opponent, a lot of times in GW terrain, the middle objectives are going to be in the open. So if you have yours held with a lone op, Shadow Sun, and they don't, you'll shoot them off of their objective repeatedly, and they have to do something about it, which is a dynamic I really like. So, internal grenade racks go sleepies.
Yeah, it's not as important as the other two.
How many points is it?
20.
20. So 110, and then we get another Pathfinder.
Our 70 points goes to 90, and now we can trade them. And now I would absolutely have a grab drone on probably one, if not two of them. That's the -2 to charge.
Okay. What's the downside of Grav Drone? You just don't get the recon drone?
You don't get the recon drone, but you only need really one scout infiltrate unit.
Yeah. Even as the World Eaters guy, I'm not that scared if you're going to block my scout moves. You know, if you're going to put like 20 Pathfinders in my face, I'm just going to throw like spawn into them to try to kill them and then move on with my life.
Yeah.
So one unit, I think, blocks it, still baits out a response. And
same thing
enough.
for Votan. Like, you just stop those scout moves, keep them pinned back. We'll see what the Jaegers do.
Absolutely. There's somebody who mentions missile sides in Retaliation Cadre. They are good in Mont'ka because they can advance and shoot. But in Retaliation Cadre, they have some, shall we say, mobility issues.
Yeah, to get them up within 12, let alone 6 to get the extra AP is super difficult because you can't advance and shoot them. I don't like their lack of mobility. You basically have to rapid ingress them, and your opponent can still move back to get out of their range.
Yeah,
or out of their out of the place where they get extra AP.
Yeah, I just assume that if I take a unit that moves 5 inches, it doesn't get to see anything unless my opponent wants it to, or is like okay with me doing it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that you're going to lose your spotters over the first couple turns, so you need redundancy in the late game.
You're talking about the comment that we have more spawning units than units that do.
If you only run just enough spotters for your damage, as soon as you use the spotters and they die, you're like, okay, my damage doesn't have spotters.
Yeah, you don't have Tetras anymore. Tetras were like ludicrously durable for their points.
They would just survive the whole game. Your opponent couldn't do anything about it. Even if they killed one, the second one just pops out the next turn, and then they run out of stuff that can interact with it.
But stealth battle suits are way easier to kill than Tetras, and your opponent, they have to get in line of sight of your opponent to do it, and your opponent's decently likely to shoot them back.
Yeah.
So.
The other thing is you just want stuff to charge from behind a ruin, just tie things up. Oh, Land Raiders on the middle objective behind a wall. Okay, boom, I'm going to charge these Pathfinders out, from behind this ruin, tag it, wrap it, keep it trapped up, and now I can focus on other things for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so is this where you feel happy with it?
Yeah, I actually quite like this Retaliation Cadre list.
Sweet. It has a lot of damage from the Crisis Suits and the Riptides, and a lot of skirmish with the Stealths and the Pathfinders.
Yeah, it gives you plenty of tools to play, just a normal game if you really need to, but you can also get aggressive into people.
So there's someone talking about no Farsight in Star Sides. My take, you can tell me if I'm off base here. My take on Star Sides is that they are best when they are buffing the commander to do most of the damage. And Farsight is trying to go the other way. He only has 2 plasma shots. It's kind of meh.
Yeah.
Whereas this unit is now giving the Cold Star +1 AP on all of these guns, and the Cold Star's like, don't worry, Chief, I got this. Da 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 da.
The Cold Star with prototype weapon system slams, as Jack likes to say.
He slams.
He's gonna shoot harder than the unit a lot of the time.
He hits, and he does really help out that Green Tide or Horde matchup that is being talked about in the comments.
Yep.
Also, the Pathfinders have a lot of shots. The Stealth Suits have a lot of shots. Like, the army together can put together the shots you need.
Exactly.
All right. Well, next up, we've got a nice word from our sponsors. Thank you, Rattlecan Studios, for this for sponsorship. And we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
So that was Retaliation Cadre. Now we've got a brand new Cion list to work on from Murphy.
That's right.
And so what's in this list? We've got 2 Cold Star Commanders. Hi. We got 2 Cold Star Commanders. We've got 2 Burst Cannons, Cyclic, High Output Burst, Exemplar of the Cion, which is going to allow Cion to be active turn 2. And then we have the precision of the Patient Hunter on the other one, which gives him +1 to hit, and then he'll also get +1 to wound turn 3 onward. So both those commanders, pretty helpful enhancements. One Commander Shadow Sun here as the Warlord, and then a Trail Shaper with solid image projection unit, which is the redeploy, and then Kroot Lone Spear, which is a lone op and gets a little fire and fade move.
Does he buff any units in the army?
He buffs Kroot.
Okay.
You get full rerolls to hit on your Farstalkers.
Well, he's already taken Shadow Sun, which is the lone op that you take first. So he's taking a second one. I don't know.
Then we have 10 Strike Team. Okay. Then we're going to get to them in a second. 2 broadside battle suits with heavy rail. 2 10-man Farstalker units. They're actually 12-man because they have 2 Kroot Hounds.
Oh, right. This is always super annoying for me. I'm like, oh, I killed 10. You're like, I have 2 left. God damn it.
2 Kroot Hounds. And then they give you extra speed too. Then 10-man Pathfinder team with the Recon Drone. Very classic. 2 units of Stealth Suits. 1 Ghost Keel with the Fusion Collider. And then 2 Riptides with the Ion and the Fusion Missile Drones. And then 2 units of Starsight Battle Suits with the Burst Cannons.
All right, so there are no comments about this list, but let's first off talk about what do you think this list is doing well that you like?
So in terms of what it's doing well, the best thing for Cion now is that you get observers that have that gain sustain 2. So previously it was just the unit that was getting guided that got sustain 2. Now if you're observer and you shoot into the target, your spotted target, not only does the guide unit get sus 2, but you also get it as the observer.
That is
so it means
nasty.
like Pathfinder's guiding, they'll also get sustain 2 to help finish off a unit, for instance, that they want to shoot at.
Do they get ignores cover as well, or just the sustain part? Although sustain 2 on a unit is enough.
They would not get the that they can get it in this detachment because you have the coordinate to engage strat, which lets your observer get +1 ballistic skill, and if they have marker light, ignores cover. So you could with a strat get those, but it means that if you go lean heavier on more and more damage dealers, and those damage dealers are giving you the guiding, giving you the being observers to give you the guided benefit, they gain a lot. So like it's not too bad to have your star sights observe in this detachment. For instance, like maybe 2 star sights can only see the one target, one of them observes. You use coordinate to engage on it. Both get sus 2. Both are efficient.
Okay. So that's a good change for Cion for sure.
It's pretty good. So you want to be relatively MSU, and you want to have almost all your things do damage.
Okay. So speaking of which, we still need some skirmish, right? We've got Kroot Farstalkers and whatnot. We still need some like cheaper units that can infiltrate and run around the board. But we got Pathfinders. But I'm noticing there's some inefficient units here, which if you're a first-time Tau player or you play at your local store, you might not know a lot of these choices are inefficient, but the Lone Spear is just not really that necessary.
He's not necessary. He is very good in the Kroot detachment, but I think if you have Shadow Sun, you don't actually need the Kroot Lone Spear here. You don't need tons of lone ups. You also have a Ghost Kill, which we're going to cut for sure.
So he's not going to have a Ghost Kill in a second.
He's going to have Shadow Sun. Tau don't need tons of lone ups, I've found. And the reason is, at least if you're playing on UKTC, you can lean heavier on lone ops. So that's a qualifier. I don't know which terrain format you play on. UKTC, you can totally lean heavier on lone ops. That's fair. But on the other terrain formats, you don't really need it. You have a lot of redundancy in stuff, and one of that is going to be Breachers plus Devilfish, which there is none here, and that's the strongest unit you can run in Cion.
Right. So let me trim the fat around the edges. I assume these are going.
Strike Team, no.
Okay, the Lone Spear is going, and the Trail Shaper, what is the solid image projection unit
It's
do?
the redeploy before you know who's going first, so it's okay.
How many points is it?
30. It's expensive.
That feels too much.
Yeah, I think we get rid of that and the Farstalkers as well.
All the Farstalkers?
Yep, and the broadsides.
So I've seen you play with Farstalkers. Did you not like them, or do you think they don't
They
belong
went
there?
up 15 points per unit, and since the time that I played them, and then the Trail Shaper went up like 10 points. And then in addition to that, they don't give you any benefit. I think running more Pathfinders is just straight up better.
Okay, so you like this core here?
This core I can mess around with.
All right.
I don't know if we're going to stick with 2 units of burst cannons, star sights. I think we're going to make 1 the Sunforge unit.
I like having 1 burst Star Scythe, which is what you're planning to do, because sometimes you do play Green Tide, and then that unit will
don't worry,
carry
Jack.
you.
We're going to have Breachers. And guess what? Breachers are even better than Star Sights.
Breachers do nasty things.
We're not going to have a
Green
problem.
Tide.
Cion is ludicrous. I don't even know how Cion can lose to Green Tide. It's because it's that nutty.
I think it would have to get run over in the first turn or two, which is not easy.
No, it's not easy at all.
Because what you can also do is put Exemplar the Cion guy in a
Yeah.
Star Scythe unit with bursts instead of the Sunforge normally, and just go, hi, and just blast them off
Now
on
the Star
turn
Sights
2.
aren't as good into the boys here because they don't go to Strength 6.
Strength 5 is
Strength 5, and they don't have
yeah,
reroll
sounds
wounds.
good.
So we're going to get Breachers, don't you worry. So
love Breachers.
leave the Crisis Suits there for now, but we will probably change them in a little bit.
Yep, just going through, cutting out the stuff
We have to run Breachers. It is the best data sheet in this codex. Please.
I believe
have
you.
to start with 5
No,
units.
I hear you. I'm simply cutting them out of the list here. Cutting things out of the list. All right.
Okay, 5 units.
You are very adamant about this.
People underestimate the Breacher, and it's literally the best unit every single time I play Tau.
Okay, so we got Breachers. They're 100 points now.
1 hundo.
And 5 units.
5 units of them.
Okay.
We're going to have the Guardian Drone and a Gun Drone. And we're going to go killing.
And here I go.
Also taking
killing
away
again.
objectives.
All right.
One of the amazing things about them is they also have native assault on their guns and their BS3 natively on their shotguns.
It's just a million shots.
Yep.
And also, this like wrecks Eldar. Because Eldar can't deal with 50 Breachers with -1 to wound.
3 Fireblades, if you could, Mr. Jack.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so Cadre Fireblade. How many points did Cadre Fireblade?
50 now.
That is very cheap.
Yeah, he went up 10 points. So he's going to give us +1 ranged attack. He's going to have 2 gun drones, and the gun drone in the Breacher teams will also benefit from his role. So you're pumping out over 40 shots on those 3 units.
So 3 of these doofuses.
And then when you add sustain 2 on these units,
It gets pretty nutty, especially if you can go +1 AP.
Yep. Yeah. Point blank ambush. Okay. Now we need 2 Devilfish.
Yeah, let me see where our points are at, just so we can give you an update on that. And then 3 Cadre Fireblades, 1, 2, 3. We have 165 points left. So next up, we've got ourselves Devilfish. Spoiler alert. Beep, beep, boop.
So we'll take 2 of these Devilfish. We'll give them the gun drones so they could advance in action if we really need to. And they'll get their 2 Seeker missiles and the Accelerator Burst.
Okay.
All right. So that leaves us over points, I assume?
It does, but not by a ton, actually. It leaves us 5 points over.
Cool.
Is that something we can work with? You think we can find a way around that?
We can definitely work with that. Okay, so Shadow Sun is good in this detachment. So what I want is another unit of... I basically want at least one unit of Sunforge, because their ability to rapid ingress in is extremely strong in this army, and they can deal with a big target, just get it out of the way.
Okay. You were saying, sorry, broadsides?
No.
What was it?
Sunforge.
Sunforge, okay.
So I want to make one of these Star Sights Sunforge for sure, which is going to be a 40-point increase there.
Sunforge battle suits, and they go to 170. Are we getting rid of the other one?
Probably, because Breachers just do that roll, and that's not really needed.
Because now we murder hordes, because we have millions of shots out of these Breachers.
It just does it way better than the other units.
So
6 fusion.
Oh yeah, no, hold on. That's the only loadout you can have for them, right?
Yep.
All right, who wants to go in a Sunforge battle suit?
Okay, so we're going to change one of these commanders here. And
Exemplar or Precision? Exemplar probably, right?
No, I actually think we do Precision on him.
Okay, what is he changing to?
We take Exemplar and put it in a Fireblade, on a Fireblade. So Precision's the +1 to hit, +1 to wound turn 3 onward, and we're going to change him to, honestly, make him all 4 fusion. We just want to kill big things.
Okay, with Precision of the Patient Hunter. Is this guy going away?
Yes, he's going away, but we're also going to take Exemplar the Cion and put it on a Fireblade.
Got it. So we're going to move
and
that
Exemplar
up.
the Cion went to 20 points, so he'll become 70.
All right.
Now you could always switch these enhancements if you really wanted to.
All right, and then that makes a dude 70. So now you have a unit that can slam on turn 2.
Yep, and I want to trade the breachers on turn 2, not as much the Sunforge unit.
Got it. The Sunforge unit.
The Sunforge unit wants to hit the same turn as almost everything else.
Got it. Okay, so delete that guy and then add Exemplar of the Cion. Making big changes here. Getting rid of both Star Scythe units, replacing it with a Sunforge. Are you trying to make room for anything here? Because we are currently going down quite a bit of points, right? We have 195, which
I want a second Pathfinder team for sure.
Okay. Do you want to get in a third Riptide?
I'm looking at that as well.
Okay. So we have 195 points right now.
So that'd be 105 that we would have left?
Yes. So I don't think we can get to a Riptide particularly easily unless we want to cut a Devilfish, or if we don't want to include this Pathfinder, or if we want to cut Shadow Sun.
I think we can cut Shadow Sun for a Riptide.
Okay.
She's good in this detachment because you can redeploy her, but I don't think her benefit is as good as having just another Riptide, personally.
All right. Yeah, Riptides are great.
Riptides with Sustain 2 are fantastic units.
Yeah, they shoot really hard at that point. So Pathfinder, another Riptide, and 2 Stealth Suits seems pretty good.
Yeah, they can redeploy in this detachment with Wall of Mirrors to go back into reserve.
So we have ourselves 25 points remaining. Is there something we want to try and do with that? Is there an enhancement that's any good?
For 25 points, we can't get the redeploy enhancement. We could get the lethal hits enhancement, which isn't like particularly amazing.
You could swap a Stealth Suit for a Devilfish. That's the only upgrade I can see.
I like the extra ones.
I mean, it might just be the list is under points, and that's not like the end of the world.
Yeah, I assume through Unity is probably 20 points. It might be 25.
Let me see. I can find out. Through Unity, Devastation is 25 points, so that's exactly enough.
So we can toss that in for now, and then you could always play around with the points here.
What does it do?
It gives, if this unit does the guiding, the other unit, the guided unit, gets lethal hits. So there'll be lethal hits, Sustain 2, and your unit that's doing the guiding in this detachment also gets the Sus 2.
Okay. I don't think that's like... I mean, we had 25 points
It's not worth
left.
25 points, but whatever.
But whatever. We had the 25 points, so... We don't have anything else we want to spend it on, so there we go.
Yep. And you can, like I said, you can play around with those points.
This is a lot of damage.
This is what I would run for Callium.
This is a lot of damage in it. We have Sunforge to crack tanks, and to rapid ingress in, walk up and go...
Boom.
And it does crack tanks in half. We got Triptide to give backbone to the army, and they shoot pretty consistently, which is really good. Do we want a Twin Fusion here or Twin Plasma?
Plasma's garbage. Fusion for sure.
Fusion's the way?
Plasma's only 18-inch range and just a worse gun by every metric.
Got it. And then we've got 50 breachers running up, dropping a billion shots down range, which is really quite good.
Yep. But this is where the case where all of our observer units all of a sudden become really good as well because they gain the Sus 2.
Got it.
All right. You want, Breacher's guiding is not bad in this detachment because all of a sudden, you can use Coordinate to engage on the Observer unit, and you're super efficient on both activations. You absolutely dominate Horde armies.
Yeah, this is an insane number of shots. If they try to stand on objectives, they're going to get reroll wounded against. And if they don't stand on objectives, then you just shoot the things that are standing on the objectives. And then you still get around. Reroll 1s to wound at strength 6 into Green Tide is still almost as good.
It was almost as good.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So last up, we've got one list left. We've got Styx's Mont'ka.
All right. It says Callion there, but...
It is actually Mont'ka. Don't let this lie to you.
All right.
I think the Retaliation Cadre... No, it says Retaliation Cadre. It is Mont'ka.
All right, so we got Commander Shadow Sun. We got 3 Fireblades, 1 with Strike Swiftly, which is the pregame move. Pick 2 units, Scout 6. Dark Strider for the 12-inch no-go zone. We got 30 Breachers, a Broadside unit with the missiles, 2 units of Stealth Suits, triple Hammerhead, 2 Ion, 1 Ion, double Rail, and then 2 Devilfish, 2 Piranhas, 2 Pathfinder teams, and 5 Vespid. So pretty solid Mont'ka list here. The biggest thing for me is the Railgun. I don't think it's that great. personally, because of the low volume of fire and the amount of invulns that are in the game. Having run the 3 ion heads, I found that they were pretty solidly consistent at punching up in Mont'ka.
So let me read the notes for this. The army name is Jack, you are so handsome and cool. You're the best human being that exists. Flattery works, folks. It really does. Hi guys, took a similar list last weekend to an RTT, went 2-1. I had riptides instead of broadsides. They disappointed all 3 games, so I wanted to replace them with broadsides. What else could I do to improve this list? Thanks in advance.
All right, well, thank you. So we're gonna keep the missile sides because they are still very strong.
In Mont'ka, yeah, they get that advance and shoot, the flat 6 advance that lets
Plus
them
1
actually
AP from range.
lets them actually be a unit that can shoot at some points instead of just casually being dodged.
They shoot way harder than Riptide because they just will point at one thing and just delete it off the face of the earth. If you saw the game I played against Quinn's Eldar, he put his big Wraith Knight out, and I was like, all right, let's resolve the first half of the attack. Okay, it's dead. Not even worry about the rest of the damage.
It's pretty gnarly. Yeah,
it's pretty gnarly. So if you play against a lot of big stuff, this broadside unit absolutely just slams things. And also they benefit a lot from -1 damage in this detachment. It can make them a lot harder to get through.
1 CP or 2
2
CP?
CP.
2 CP. But still, on broadsides, that's...
Yeah, on 3
miserable.
broadsides, yeah.
And because they can flat 6 advance, they're actually usable, which I think... And shoot, right? Because they have assault in the first 3 turns.
So I think the first thing that we want to change here is change all the hammerheads to ion.
So just...
Keep the hammerheads, but change them to ion. I don't think the one shot is worth it, personally.
Even if it hits on 2s and rerolls, and then you reroll the wound roll, like...
As soon as your opponent has invulns, you have a tank that really doesn't perform, whereas the volume from the other tanks is good into hordes and also good into tanks.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I experienced ion cannon hammerhead shooting my tanks to death, so, like, it can happen. It was not particularly fun. Whereas a hammerhead with a railgun is very... wants exactly one thing in front of it, which is a tank without an invuln. If a tank with an invuln, decent amount of chance your tank does literally 0 damage, and you can't afford that. And if it's not a tank, then you're going to kill one dude super dead, but that doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. So Shadow Sun, I don't really think she's needed in Mont'ka. There's a lot of situations where you're spreading out, and I personally don't think she's as worth it. But if you want a lone op, what format? Did any terrain format mentioned here?
No.
Once again, you play in UKTC, you probably lean a little heavier towards lone ops, but I don't think she's 100% mandatory. I really like the Piranhas in my list. Vespid, I don't really think you need Vespid. I don't like that they don't observe, but I would go for the 3rd Piranha. I found that the 3 was super consistent, and it really tempted people to take... You don't have the Riptides here, but it tempted people against me to take Bring It Down, and the 2 people who did take Fix got a 7 and a 12. So between the 2 of them, over 2 games, didn't get a 20 on Bring It Down.
And you had triple Riptide, right?
And I had Triptide in there, so I even had more stuff going on.
Yeah.
So we have 10 extra points. If we drop Shadow Sun, we got 110.
Okay, because not as needed unless you're playing on something like UKTC terrain where the boards are a lot more open, regardless of what any of them say. We played on them, and they are wildly open.
They are very open, I'll say that. All right, so the biggest thing that I found in my list is I just wanted more breachers. I wanted breachers that I could throw out there and take objectives away and force commitment without, sending some of my other units out there. So in that case, I think that probably we can grab 1 and then we still have 10 points. We probably grab the enhancement. We grab 10 more breachers and the enhancement. I think 10 more breachers is way more valuable.
How many points is the enhancement?
10 points, exactly.
Okay, so that'll fit all right on the nose. So are you thinking this list is pretty close to where it needs to be?
It's pretty close to where it needs to be. Obviously, broadsides are a little expensive now, but if you want to run broadsides, this is what I would run around them for sure.
I
think the hammerheads save you enough points versus Riptides.
What's the enhancement?
Exemplar of the Mont'ka, and that'll make him 60 points.
And that lets him act in the 4th turn as though he were in the 3rd turn, right? Like
yeah, so you still get lethals, and doesn't matter about the assault part of it. So it's not an amazing enhancement, but you get 10 extra points. Like, what do you really... If you really love the Vespid, you can stay with Vespid instead of Piranhas. But I think the hammerheads support the broadsides quite nicely. Now, if you really wanted to go a little more extreme on this, what you could do is cut one of the Pathfinder teams and like 2 of the Piranhas and try and get even more, get 20 more Breachers.
So what would you lean towards doing?
I think this version is pretty balanced based around the broadsides, but say you were playing on a little bit of a denser format, or you're playing into a meta with even more Horde units, a lot of Green Tide in your meta, for instance, then I probably would cut 1 Pathfinder team, 2 Piranhas, and grab 20 more Breachers.
Got it. So
that redundancy feels really good to me.
Your thought coming into this list is that like it's a pretty good quarter, a pretty good like 90% of the list. It just had a little fat around the edges. You're going to trim, and then like add a little bit more of what you want, like trade resources like Breachers.
Exactly. I think the Breachers is really the key thing in Mont'ka. Is what I found is that most opponents are going to hide those first 2 turns against you. Breachers, when you position them in a Devilfish relatively aggressively in midfield, if your opponent doesn't do anything, all of a sudden their home objective is under threat, or a unit that they're trying to keep safe is just under threat. And I didn't necessarily want to trade like a Fireblade unit for a play to kill like 10 Gretchen or something and take away an objective, but 10 basic Breachers, I would totally think about doing it.
Yeah, for sure. That extra mobility is just a big deal because you can just run up, advance the Devilfish, then get out afterwards because Devilfish, and then you shoot and you're like home objective clear, bye, and now you get a bunch of extra damage.
Yeah. So this is, I think broadsides are just a little too expensive without Tetras. One of the things that I didn't mention here is that you probably want to take the War Gear support system on them, which ignores modifiers to hit. Because without, you can get full rerolls, but only on 1 target, and you're probably going to murder that target in a million different ways. So you need to be relatively efficient into stealth armies, armies with smoke, etc. So you might want to think about running the War Gear support system on these broadsides, since Tetras don't exist to just make sure that you're all good.
All right. All right, so we have a super chat from Ron Kinney. $5 super chat says, "Rock and Stone, baby."
Rock and Stone, baby. Got the Votan. I love Votan.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of your favorite armies. You got it. You put some work into it, actually.
I did.
recently.
So I went to a tournament with them a couple weeks ago, and if you want to check that out, that's in the War Room. It's a full breakdown of all the games that I played.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Drew Skywalker, I would absolutely run that list you're talking about in there. 30 Van Vets with Sang Priests and 3 units of Jump Pack Intercessors. Turns out I can make this a Blood Angels. Fix my list all along.
You love them Blood Angels.
I do. I love them Blood Angels.
But if you want to check out some Blood Angels, head over to the YouTube game we just played yesterday, Blood Angels vs. World Eaters, aggro on aggro.
That's right. I was just running back and forth between the sides.
So hopefully you enjoyed this breakdown of 3 different lists. We got Mont'ka, we got Cion, Retaliation, Cadre. Did anybody submit a recruit list?
I did not try to look for one, but
Fair enough.
If I had run across it, I would have put it in, but I saw 3 of the different detachments. And Ron Kinney, I would absolutely put that 10-man unit Death Company in. You just run people over with too much stuff.
So maybe next time somebody will submit one of the recruit lists, but otherwise, hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Please do give the channel a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below letting us know what you think of the list and how you're feeling about Tau in general, or just the meta. And as we mentioned, we're going to do a video on whatever Games Workshop previewed in a little bit, so stay tuned to the channel for that. In addition, if you want to see me play Tau, if you want to see the recap that's releasing today, which runs a similar list, similar archetype to this, although not with the broadsides, with Riptides instead, and how I performed at DreamHack with it, go ahead and check out theworm.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial, and in there you'll also get access to our awesome international Discord community and our dedicated mobile app.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jack, for hanging out with me and talking Tau. I know you love Tau.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Tempted by the Tau.
But thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate your support, and we will see you soon, probably in about an hour or so, for another stream that'll go through whatever Games Workshop previewed. So thanks so much. See you all next time.
Bye-bye.